High above the whispering pines, where moonlight spilled like silver milk across the treetops, lived a small owl named Luna. Luna wasn't like the other owls in the forest. She had feathers the color of stardust, soft white with a silvery shimmer that glowed faintly when the moon was full. Her eyes were wide and round and carried the soft patience of the stars themselves. While other owls hooted and flapped busily through the night, Luna was a quiet soul. She preferred to glide slowly, silently, as if the wind itself carried her wings. But what truly made Luna special wasn't her feathers, or even her silent flight. It was her secret. Luna was the keeper of dreams. Every night, when the forest fell asleep, when the crickets softened their songs and the fireflies blinked more slowly, Luna would take flight with something precious held gently in her talons, her Dreamcatcher. It was no ordinary Dreamcatcher. This one shimmered like moonbeams and was woven with starlight, windsong, and a strand of Luna's own feathers. Dangling from it were tiny charms, a seashell that sang of the ocean, a pine cone that remembered the first snow, and a teardrop-shaped gem that glowed soft blue whenever someone had a hard day. The Dreamcatcher had one special gift. It could catch dreams before they were born. And not just any dreams, good dreams. Calming dreams. The kind that wrapped around your heart and whispered, "You are safe. You are loved. You can rest now." Each evening, Luna would visit the sleeping animals of the forest. Foxes curled in dens, bear cubs tucked beside their mother, hedgehogs snoozing beneath leaf piles, and hold the Dreamcatcher above their heads. The charms would twinkle, catching bits of laughter, hope, and quiet wishes drifting from their hearts. Then, softly, Luna would whisper, "Dream gently, little one." And just like that, the dreams would take shape, puffs of gentle light, like fireflies made of moon sugar. They would float up, dance once around Luna's wings, and then drift into the sleeper's mind, curling in like warm blankets. But one night, something strange happened. As Luna glided over the grove where the raccoons lived, she heard a quiet sniffle, not the usual soft snore or sleepy sigh. It came from the smallest of the raccoon kits, a little one named Rilo, who was curled tightly with his paws over his eyes. Luna hovered, concerned. The Dreamcatcher twinkled faintly, but no dream rose from Rilo's heart. She landed gently beside the den, tilting her head. Rilo peeked out with wide eyes. "I can't sleep," he whispered. Luna blinked, soft and slow. "Why not, little one?" "I keep having the other kind of dreams," Rilo whispered. "The kind that make you feel like you're falling, or lost, or alone." Luna's heart fluttered. "Nightmares?" she said gently. Rilo nodded. For the first time in a long while, Luna felt something she hadn't felt before: worry. She lowered the Dreamcatcher, but this time, it didn't shimmer. The gem stayed dim. The charms didn't sing. Nothing happened. "I don't think it's working tonight," Luna said softly. Rilo sniffled again. "It's okay. I didn't think anyone could help." Luna looked up at the stars. Their ancient light blinked above her, twinkling messages only owls and dreamkeepers understood. And in that quiet moment, she realized something. Dreams couldn't always be caught from the air like fireflies. Sometimes they had to be mended. Luna sat beside Rilo's den for a long moment, her feathers ruffling slightly in the breeze. The forest was unusually quiet, as if even the wind was listening. The little raccoon curled up tightly again, still trying to hide, but Luna could see his tiny body trembling under his striped tail. She tucked her wings gently around him without a word. It wasn't something owls usually did. But Luna wasn't a usual owl. For several heartbeats, they sat in silence. Then Luna said quietly, "Nightmares are heavy things, little one. Heavier than feathers, and stickier than sap." Rilo peeked up. "Can you fix them?" Luna looked down at the Dreamcatcher. It still hung quietly in the moonlight, no longer glowing. "I don't know," she admitted, "but I'm going to try." She glanced toward the sky, where a soft path of stars glittered above the treetops. Her gaze followed it to the far hills, where few ever ventured. "I need to go to the woven nest," Luna said softly. "The what?" Rilo asked, sitting up a little. "The place where the first Dreamcatcher was made," she replied. "It lies beyond the nightberry thicket and the whispering stones." It's ancient, older than the river, older even than the moonlight in the lake. I've never been. But it's time. Rilo's eyes widened. You'd do that for me? Luna smiled gently. For you, and for all the little ones like you who are losing sleep to shadows. She stood, stretched her wings wide, and gave the Dreamcatcher one last glance before taking off into the sky. Her flight was softer than ever, as though the air itself carried her out of love. Behind her, Rilo finally began to yawn, just a little, curled up near the embers of hope Luna had left in her wake. The farther Luna flew, the quieter the world became. She passed over sleeping foxes and murky ponds, over hills of swaying grass that sang lullabies to the stars. The sky darkened just slightly as she neared the nightberry thicket, a tangled patch of dark-leafed brambles with glowing blueberries that pulsed softly like tiny heartbeats. Luna landed gently outside the thicket. The path was narrow, winding, and hard to see. She would have to trust her instincts. As she stepped between the branches, she heard the soft, velvet voice of the thicket. Who goes there, threading the night? It is I, Luna, she said calmly, keeper of dreams. The brambles shivered as if recognizing the name. Dreams are not for the waking, they whispered. Why do you travel through our shade? To mend a broken sleep, Luna replied, her feathers glowing slightly in the gloom. To restore the Dreamcatcher's light. There was a pause, and then the brambles slowly unwound, revealing a narrow path lit by the faint glow of dreamberries. Luna padded forward gently. As she walked, shadows of past dreams flickered along the vines. Laughter from long ago, lullabies sung to now-grown children, hopes folded into leaves. She could feel their warmth and their sorrow. She emerged from the thicket an hour later, her wings dusted in dreamberry light, her heart slightly heavier, but also stronger. Next came the whispering stones, a quiet valley filled with smooth boulders that hummed with forgotten voices. Luna glided down carefully, perching on one of the larger stones. Luna, the stones murmured. Moonchild, Featherlight. I need to find the woven nest, she said aloud, to learn how to mend a broken dream. The stones pulsed, a low note like a heartbeat. Then listen, they said. And Luna did. She closed her eyes, and the valley filled with a low song, deep, ancient, full of mourning and hope. She saw glimpses of dreamkeepers before her, a snowy owl who healed a weeping doe, a lynx who guarded a human child's sleep, a raven who carried lullabies between stars. And a voice, clearer than the rest, spoke through it all. The Dreamcatcher is not a net. It is a mirror made of memory, a promise woven with trust. To mend it, you must carry a dream within your own heart. Not just any dream, but the one that aches, the one you fear. Luna opened her eyes, heart pounding softly. She knew now what she must do. Luna stood alone at the edge of the whispering stones, wings folded close, the wind barely touching her silvery feathers. The voices had fallen silent. The lesson had been clear. To mend the Dreamcatcher, she would need to offer a piece of herself, a dream she had hidden, one that still lived in the quietest corner of her heart. But Luna wasn't sure she could. Owls, by nature, are creatures of calm. Their minds are steady, their thoughts quiet. Luna had never believed she had fears that could shape dreams. But deep down, beneath the silence and the stars, there was something. A single, small memory, soft as a breath, but sharp as glass. She took a slow breath and closed her eyes. It had happened many seasons ago, back when Luna was barely more than a fledgling. She had flown too far one night, chasing a storm cloud full of strange dreams. In her eagerness to prove herself, she hadn't noticed how far she'd drifted from the forest. The sky had turned wild and loud, and lightning cracked like splintered bone. She remembered falling, wind screaming, feathers soaked, and then darkness. She had awakened in a strange place, a human attic, cold and full of forgotten things. Trapped, alone, her wing injured, her voice gone. No forest, no moon. For 3 long nights, she had waited in silence, listening to the creaks and groans of the house, the distant sounds of footsteps that never came near. No one found her. No one called her name. She had stared at the rafters and wondered if the moon had forgotten her. Eventually, she had escaped, slipping through a cracked window when the wind blew it open. But something had stayed behind. Not the sharp, screaming kind, but the quiet, secret kind. The kind that whispered, "What if it happens again? What if no one comes? What if you're not as brave as you believe?" And so Luna, over time, had hidden it, wrapped it in feathers, locked it in silence. Until now. The whispering stones glowed faintly as Luna slowly opened her eyes. The Dreamcatcher in her talons flickered, just once. Luna bowed her head and whispered to it, "I'm afraid of being alone." The charm stirred gently. "I'm afraid of being forgotten, of failing, of losing the light when someone needs it most." The gem at the center of the Dreamcatcher began to glow, a soft blue that deepened into gold. "And I'm afraid that I'm not enough to protect them all." The Dreamcatcher shimmered like a pond lit by moonlight. The pinecone charm released a tiny sparkle. The seashell trembled, releasing a soft hum. And then, slowly, the Dreamcatcher breathed. A small thread of silvery light rose from Luna's chest and wove itself through the center. Her fear transformed, not erased but honored. The dream she had buried now lived in the Dreamcatcher, not as a wound, but as strength. Because she had faced it, and named it, and carried it, not alone, but with purpose. The path opens. As the Dreamcatcher glowed brighter than ever before, the stars above Luna shimmered into a pattern she had never seen, a spiral of light stretching toward the northern sky. And in the distance, past the edge of the stones, a soft golden nest glowed between two ancient trees. The woven nest. She was ready now. With her Dreamcatcher pulsing with renewed magic, Luna spread her wings and rose gently into the night. Back in the forest, Rilo stirred. He opened his eyes for just a moment, feeling something soft settle over him. A warmth like moonlight through leaves, like someone brushing their feathers gently across his heart. He didn't know why, but he smiled. And for the first time in many nights, he began to dream. Luna flew toward the light with quiet purpose, the night folding around her like a velvet cloak. Her wings moved slowly, steadily, in rhythm with the glowing Dreamcatcher that now pulsed like a heartbeat in her talons. There was no wind, only the still hush of stars watching from above, as if even they were holding their breath. The woven nest appeared gradually through a stand of ancient trees whose bark shimmered with silver veins. The nest itself was not in a tree, but cradled in the roots of two intertwined trunks, as if time itself had grown the trees around it to protect what lay within. It was large enough for Luna to step inside, and its walls were made of every kind of thread imaginable: moss, fur, golden straw, threads of cloud, and even laughter, somehow braided into the shape of home. As Luna entered, a hush settled over her heart. It felt like stepping into a memory she had never lived but had always known. The air inside shimmered with old, sleeping magic. Hanging in the center was another Dreamcatcher, older than hers, larger, the size of the moon on a harvest night. It was frayed at the edges, but still humming softly, like a lullaby carried on the wind. Luna stood in silence, listening. She felt the warmth of unseen eyes around her. Not watching exactly, but remembering. She understood now. The woven nest wasn't a place to take from. It was a place to offer to. This was where dreamkeepers came not to collect magic, but to return it. She stepped forward and gently laid her own Dreamcatcher beneath the Great One. The moment it touched the nest floor, light flowed between them like a river. The strands of her Dreamcatcher reached up, connecting with the old one, weaving themselves into the ancient frame. The broken pieces mended. The faded light brightened. A soft voice, not heard but felt, echoed through her feathers. "You brought truth. You brought heart. Now let your dream carry others." Luna bowed her head. The fear she had spoken aloud in the whispering stones had become her strength. And now, that strength was being woven into the fabric of all dreams, not just for Rilo, but for any soul in the forest who ever felt lost in the night. When she stepped back outside, the moon had shifted slightly, casting a new light across the world. It wasn't brighter, exactly, but softer, more complete, as if the night too had taken a deep breath. Luna flew slowly, letting the Dreamcatcher sway gently beneath her. It was glowing warmly now, with no effort. To feel it, healed whole ready. Not just a catcher of dreams, but a keeper of courage. She returned to the heart of the forest as the first hints of dawn whispered at the edge of the sky. The stars began to dim, one by one, like lanterns being gently tucked away. Below her, the forest slept in peace. She paused above Rilo's den, hovering quietly. Inside, the little raccoon lay nestled against his siblings, breathing deep, his face calm. And above his head, a dream floated gently, soft blue and gold, with the faintest shimmer of feathers. Luna smiled, her heart full. The Dreamcatcher had done its work. But Luna knew this was only the beginning. Dreams were delicate things. They needed more than magic. They needed kindness. They needed listening. They needed someone willing to carry the quiet weight of hope. And that was what Luna would do. Night after night, one dream at a time. The forest awoke slowly that morning, as if it had slept deeper than usual. The sun crept across the treetops like golden syrup, warming dew-drenched leaves and waking sleepy branches with a quiet stretch. Somewhere in the thickets, a squirrel yawned mid-leap and forgot, for the first time in days, to be anxious about falling. Luna nestled into the crook of her favorite branch, one high above the glade, where the trees cradled her like an old friend. Her eyes remained open, half-lidded, watching the world below. The Dreamcatcher, now wrapped gently around one claw, pulsed with a light no longer fading. She didn't feel tired, not truly. What she felt was full. Quietly full, like the earth after a long rain. Later that evening, long before dusk settled in, a young fox named Ilo padded softly through the ferns below. Luna had watched Ilo before, many times. He was clever and curious, with a nose for trouble and a heart much larger than he understood. But lately Ilo had been restless. He dreamed of losing his way, of being chased by shadows he couldn't name. His sleep was thin and his eyes, always so bright, had dulled. So when Luna took to the sky again that night, her wings barely rustling the air, she made her way to the fox den. O was awake, ears twitching, tail flicking. He stared into the darkness as if trying to unravel it. Luna landed soundlessly beside him. He looked up, surprised but not afraid. "I don't sleep well," he said before she could speak. "I pretend I do, so Mother won't worry. But I don't." "I know," Luna said, her voice soft as silk. "Would you like a story tonight? A quiet one?" Ilo nodded, ears perked. Luna reached out with her Dreamcatcher. It glowed faintly at first, then warmer as she began to hum. Not a song with words, but something older. A hum like wind through long grass, like breath across feathers, like memories just at the edge of sleep. She held the Dreamcatcher above Ilo's head, and from his chest rose a single thread of silver light. But this time, something new happened. The thread shimmered, then split gently into two. One thread drifted into the Dreamcatcher, weaving into its frame. The other stayed close to O, circling gently around him like a promise. And then he yawned. A big, honest, helpless yawn. He curled into a circle, tail over nose, and fell asleep before Luna had even lifted off. She hovered there a moment, watching the silver thread still hovering above him. It pulsed softly in time with his breath, and then, without warning, it drifted outward, away from the den, like a ripple in a pond. Luna followed it with her eyes. It didn't float to another sleeper. It floated into the sky. There it joined others. Dozens. No, hundreds, thin threads of light rising quietly from all across the forest. Some were small and trembling. Some strong and golden. Some braided together, like the dreams of those who slept side by side. Luna had never seen them before. She had spent so many nights close to the treetops, watching over the sleepers, believing dreams stayed inside the ones who dreamed them. But now she understood something new. Dreams didn't just live inside us. They connected us. Every peaceful sleep was a thread. Every comfort given, every fear spoken aloud, every night someone whispered, "You are safe," it became a bond, between creatures, between hearts. The Dreamcatcher was never meant to trap anything. It was meant to weave. And Luna, silent and small in the sky, had become part of the pattern. Luna soared higher than usual that night. The stars felt closer, as though they had been waiting for her to notice them all along. She wove between constellations like a ribbon carried on the breeze, the Dreamcatcher glowing faintly against her chest. Below her, the forest was vast and gentle. Every glade and burrow, every hollow and den, held stories she hadn't yet heard, dreams that hadn't yet found their voice. She drifted toward the old maple grove where the deer made their beds in circles of leaves. The herd was quiet tonight, but one young fawn stirred restlessly, twitching in her sleep. Luna floated down beside her, as gentle as a sigh. The Dreamcatcher pulsed once, and a fragile thread of light lifted from the fawn's heart, hesitant, pale, like a morning mist. It flickered like it might vanish. Luna leaned in and whispered softly, "It's all right. You're safe here. Let it come." The thread steadied. She watched it weave itself into the Dreamcatcher, just a small strand, but strong, because it was real. She could tell this dream came from a place of longing. The fawn missed something she hadn't yet known, perhaps a sibling not yet born, or a mother's lullaby only half remembered. The feeling was tender and quiet, not sad, but aching. Luna understood that ache. Not with words, but with the still part of her heart that had waited, once, in an attic with no sky. She stayed a little longer after the dream settled, just sitting beside the sleeping fawn, letting the peace linger like the hush after snowfall. When she finally rose into the air again, she noticed the Dreamcatcher had grown slightly, its frame no larger, but its weave more intricate. New threads, new colors. Some pale green like spring leaves, others warm amber like firelight. It was becoming a tapestry. Back above the forest, Luna flew low and slow, feeling the hush that followed her now. Even those awake, badgers rearranging their nests, an owl brother hunting across the ridge, seemed quieter when she passed, as if something inside them knew that healing had begun. It wasn't just the sleeping ones who felt it. She passed by the old hollow where the magpies chattered endlessly. They always said they didn't dream, but Luna had always known better. Tonight, one of them, a curious young bird with one bent feather, stared after her as she flew by. His eyes held wonder. That was new. Even the river seemed to hum differently when Luna glided over it, its surface catching the glow of her Dreamcatcher and holding it for a heartbeat before sending it downstream. She was changing things, she realized. Not loudly, not quickly, but deeply. Luna had never asked for this path. She had never thought of herself as a healer. She had simply wanted the little ones to sleep. But now, with each dream she caught, with each fear she soothed, she was stitching something greater than comfort. She was mending the invisible threads between hearts, one quiet night at a time. And still, she never asked for thanks. She simply flew, carried by purpose, guided by moonlight, listening, always listening. The sky deepened into a deep navy as Luna continued her quiet rounds, the moon rising higher behind her like an old friend walking the same path. She had already flown far that night, visited the fawn, comforted the fox, and drifted over the gentle hush of creatures now wrapped in restful dreams. But still, something tugged at her, like a thread she had yet to follow. A soft pull, not urgent, but persistent. She let her wings stretch wider and tilted herself northward, toward the oldest part of the forest, where the trees grew so tall and close together that sunlight barely kissed the earth, and few ever ventured without a reason. Luna had never flown this far at night, not even during her earliest nights as Dreamkeeper. The air here felt denser, layered with memory. Each branch seemed to hold a secret, and each shadow moved as if it were still deciding whether to be real or imagined. She found herself gliding above a clearing she didn't remember, an open circle of moss-ringed stone, tucked in a cradle of whispering firs. In its center sat a single log, smooth with age, and upon that log sat an animal Luna had not seen in many seasons. A badger. He was very old, with fur like weathered bark and a nose that twitched not from curiosity but from habit. His eyes were closed, yet Luna could feel he was awake, just still, as though listening for something deeper than sound. She landed without a sound, folding her wings respectfully as she approached. The badger opened one eye slowly and blinked, not startled. "I remember you," he said, his voice low and rich like the earth after rain. Luna tilted her head. You do. You were smaller then, he said, and quieter, somehow, though you've always been quiet. She paused, feeling a strange sensation of being known. Were you a dream keeper, once? He chuckled softly. No, but I've known one or two. Long ago. I was a watcher. We didn't weave or carry dreams, but we guarded places like this. Places where the dreams settled when no one remembered them anymore. Luna looked around. The clearing was quiet, but not empty. As she looked closer, she saw shapes hidden in the stone. Soft, shimmering forms nestled in the moss, like small sleeping creatures. They weren't alive in the usual sense, and yet, they pulsed with something gentle. Forgotten dreams. They come here? She asked. They drift here, the badger said. When a creature grows too old to dream. When the young forget a story. When a wish is whispered once and never again. They come and they rest. Luna sat beside him, careful not to disturb the moss. I didn't know, she said softly. No one does until they come, he replied. That's the way of it. And then they understand something they couldn't before. Luna watched the sleeping shapes in the moss. One shimmered slightly, an image of a young bear cub flying with wings made of maple leaves. Another flickered, a rabbit dancing on clouds shaped like carrots, joyous and free. They're beautiful, she whispered. They're old, the badger said, and real, even if they were only dreamed once. Luna's feathers ruffled as a small breeze brushed past. She was quiet for a long time. Finally, she asked, what happens if they're never remembered again? The badger sighed and looked up at the stars. Then they fade. Not tragically. Not like a loss. More like a song finishing its last note. And the silence after is still full of meaning. Luna felt the words settle deep inside her, in the part of her soul that never spoke, only listened. I've been mending dreams, she said after a moment. But maybe some aren't meant to be mended. Maybe they just want to rest. The badger nodded, as if she'd said something important. Exactly. Not all dreams want saving. Some just want a place to be. She looked down at the Dreamcatcher, still glowing against her chest. It hummed softly now, no longer pulsing with effort, but contentedly. A steady rhythm, like a heart at peace. Perhaps it too had needed to see this. To understand that not everything must be carried. Some things could be released. She sat a little longer in the clearing, her eyes half closed. She let the quiet surround her, let the forgotten dreams wash over her like a gentle tide. She imagined the dreams drifting here from all over the forest, tiny lights floating on wind currents, nestling into moss beds, and sleeping forever beneath a sky that never judged them. When she finally stood, the badger looked at her with kind eyes. You'll keep flying, he said. Luna nodded. Yes. You'll carry some, he said. You'll comfort others. And some you'll let go. Yes. That's the balance, he said. You found it. Luna didn't need to speak. She simply touched her beak to his shoulder, a gesture of quiet thanks, and took to the air once more. As she rose above the clearing, she felt lighter, but not because she had left something behind. Rather, because she had gained something she didn't know she needed. A deeper knowing, a clearer purpose. The threads of her work were not only made of dreams and light. They were also made of silence, of endings, and of honoring the unseen. She flew on through the soft ink of the sky, stars turning gently above her. And below, the forest waited, not for a savior, but for a listener. That, she knew now, was what she truly was. A listener of hearts. A weaver of stories. A keeper of light and shadow. And as the Dreamcatcher rested quietly against her chest, glowing softly with every breath she took, Luna smiled into the wind and whispered a promise. I'll keep flying. Luna flew above the treetops, her wings slicing through the cool air. The night was thick with the scent of pine and earth, and the moon, a silver crescent, hung low and steady in the sky. Below her, the forest had begun to stir, the creatures waking with the first signs of dawn approaching. In the distance, a river glinted, its surface shimmering with the light of 1,000 tiny stars, dreams still drifting on its waters, gliding toward places unknown. Luna felt a deep sense of peace settle within her, as if all the tiny threads she had woven over these many nights were slowly finding their way, connecting to something far greater than herself. Yet there was still so much to learn. The badger's words echoed in her mind. Some dreams want a place to rest, not to be mended. She had understood this, felt it deep in her wings. But there was a feeling stirring within her, a quiet tug, a reminder that her journey was far from over. Her gaze drifted downward, and she spotted a family of raccoons making their way through the underbrush. Rilo, the young raccoon she had helped not long ago, was with them. He had grown, his fur darker now, and his eyes more curious, brighter than before. She had healed his dream, but his heart, like any young one's, was still full of questions. And sometimes, the questions were harder than the dreams. Luna landed silently on a branch above the raccoons, watching them with a quiet smile. She had come to care for Rilo, though it was not in her nature to seek affection. Yet, somehow, the forest had drawn her into its quiet circle, and the creatures within it had become part of her story. As the raccoons moved deeper into the shadows, she noticed something different about Rilo's stride. He was walking with a kind of uncertainty that was not there before, a hesitation in his paws, a flicker of doubt in his eyes. His gaze, once full of wonder, now carried something more, the weight of unspoken fears. Without thinking, Luna lifted her wings and followed them, her steps soft and sure. She hovered near Rilo, and as he paused to nibble at a berry bush, Luna drifted down beside him. He started, his eyes wide with surprise. "Luna," he whispered, his voice soft but heavy. "I didn't expect you." Luna gave him a warm look, tilting her head. "What is troubling you, Rilo?" He hesitated, looking down at his paws. "I've been thinking about the dream you helped me with. The one you fixed. It's better now, I know. But I'm still afraid." "Afraid?" Luna asked gently, landing gracefully beside him. She had helped him mend his dream, but perhaps something else was lingering, something deeper that needed a different kind of healing. "Yes," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. What if I forget how to be brave? What if I lose the dream you fixed? I know it's better, but what if it breaks again?" Luna sat beside him, her wings tucked against her sides. She didn't rush to answer, instead letting the silence settle between them. She understood. Fear wasn't always about the past. Sometimes, it was about the future. The worry that something would go wrong, the fear that one day, the light would fade again. Rilo wasn't afraid of what had happened. He was afraid of what might still happen. "You don't have to carry it all by yourself," Luna said softly. "Dreams are fragile, but so are we. And it's not about fixing everything. Sometimes, it's about understanding what makes us whole, what makes us strong." Rilo looked at her, his eyes searching her face, trying to find the comfort he longed for. "What if I'm not strong enough?" he asked quietly. Luna touched the Dreamcatcher gently with her beak. "Strength doesn't always look the way we think it should," she replied. "Sometimes, it's the quietest parts of us that hold the most power. It's your kindness, your courage to try again, even when it's hard. That's what makes you strong." Rilo looked down at his paws, thinking deeply. The weight of his fears was still there, but Luna could see something beginning to shift inside him. A softening, a letting go of the fear that had clenched his heart. "You don't have to have all the answers," Luna continued. "You don't have to be perfect. Just be kind to yourself, and let your dreams take care of the rest. Every time you feel afraid, remember this: you are not alone." The raccoon nodded slowly, his gaze lifting to meet Luna's once more. I think I understand," he said softly. "It's okay to be afraid. But I don't have to carry it forever, right?" "No," Luna said with a gentle smile. "You don't." For a long moment, they sat in quiet companionship, watching the shadows stretch long beneath the canopy. The soft rustling of the trees and the distant calls of birds filled the air around them, a peaceful reminder that the world continued on, as it always had. Rilo seemed more at ease now, though there was still a trace of uncertainty in his eyes. Luna knew that some fears, like dreams, never truly disappeared, but they could be faced with courage, and in facing them, they would lose their hold. The breeze shifted, and Luna felt the pull of something deeper, a quiet, unspoken understanding that her work was never really done. There would always be more dreams to heal, more hearts to listen to, and more quiet moments like this one, when the forest needed her presence most. And that, she realized, was exactly where she was meant to be. As the stars began to twinkle above and the world drifted into the peaceful stillness of the night, Luna stood and spread her wings once more. "I must go now," she said, her voice soft but steady. "But remember, Rilo, dreams are always waiting. Even when you can't see them, they're there. And they will always guide you." With that, she took to the sky, leaving behind the warmth of the raccoon's den and the tender weight of his worries. She flew higher, gliding gently through the cool night air. Beneath her, the forest stretched on, peaceful and vast, filled with dreams and creatures, both awake and asleep, that needed her care. And as she soared above the trees, she realized once more that her path was never truly her own. It was shared with every soul who had ever dreamed. She was merely a thread in the great web of the forest's story, one small piece of a much larger tapestry. And that was enough. The forest stretched far below Luna as she glided through the air, the cool night wind brushing against her feathers. Each beat of her wings felt like a quiet rhythm, a pulse that matched the forest below. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, and the soft, distant hum of the river reached her ears. Tonight, there was something different in the air, something that felt both familiar and unfamiliar at once. It was as if the forest itself was calling to her, beckoning her toward an unknown part of the land she had not yet visited. Her thoughts returned to Rilo, the young raccoon. She had helped him understand that it was okay to be afraid, that courage didn't mean the absence of fear, but the willingness to face it despite the uncertainty. She wondered how he would fare in the coming days, if his dreams would continue to be mended, or if he would face new struggles. She hoped he would remember that even in the quietest of times, there was strength in simply being. The pull she felt grew stronger. It wasn't just a feeling, it was more like a calling, like something unseen was weaving a thread between her and a place she had yet to discover. Her wings cut through the air with renewed purpose, and she found herself flying toward the deep woods in the farthest reaches of the forest. She had never ventured there before, and something about this place felt ancient, deeply ancient, as though the earth itself had held its breath here for longer than she could imagine. Soon, the trees grew dense, their trunks towering above her like silent sentinels. Their thick branches intertwined in a canopy so dense that only the faintest specks of moonlight broke through. Luna felt the shadows pull around her, and the night seemed to grow darker, thicker, as though she were entering a place untouched by time. In the heart of this forest, there was a clearing, a space so still and quiet that Luna could hear the very hum of the earth beneath her. As she descended, her talons gently brushing the ground, she noticed something strange. A single tree, standing alone in the center of the clearing. Its bark was black as night, smooth and glossy, like obsidian. Its roots twisted in impossible shapes, spiraling outward like an intricate knot, pulling the earth toward it. Luna's wings fluttered instinctively, a soft hum emanating from her Dreamcatcher. She knew this tree was important. There was something in its presence that made her feel both uneasy and drawn in. It was as though this place was holding something back, keeping a secret she had yet to uncover. She landed softly beside the tree, tilting her head as she observed it. There was no sign of life around it. No animals, no birds, no insects. Just silence. And then, as if in response to her presence, the air shifted. A soft murmur filled the space. A whispering voice carried on the wind, though there was no mouth to speak it. Luna's feathers ruffled as she listened closely. "Luna," the voice said, soft but unmistakable. "You have come." Her heart skipped a beat. The voice wasn't just in the wind, it seemed to come from the very earth itself. The tree before her trembled slightly, as if it were alive, responding to her presence. The air grew heavy with magic, ancient and unspoken. "I've been waiting for you," the voice continued, now clearer, though still carried by the wind. "You have much to learn, Luna. much to understand. Luna's wings fluttered, a slight ripple of fear crossing her chest. She had never heard such a voice before, and there was something unsettling about the depth of its wisdom. It wasn't like the gentle guidance of the animals she had helped. This was something older, more powerful, and far less familiar. "What is this place?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "This is the heart of the forest," the voice replied. "It is where all dreams begin. It is where they return when they are forgotten. It is where the balance of the forest is kept." Luna's eyes widened. The balance of the forest? She had heard the term before, but only in passing. It was one of those things that everyone seemed to know but never fully explained. "Balance?" she asked softly. "What do you mean?" The tree shifted again, its roots quivering, and the voice spoke once more, as though it were weaving a story. "Every dream, every thought, every wish that is ever dreamed by the creatures of this forest, we are all connected," the voice explained. "We are like threads in a vast, unbroken tapestry, woven together. And for that tapestry to remain whole, the balance must be maintained. Some dreams are meant to grow and flourish. Some are meant to rest. But others need to be let go." Luna felt a weight settle in her chest. She knew what the tree meant. She had seen dreams falter, drift away, and fade in the wind. She had helped heal so many, but she had also let go of others. But what if there were dreams that didn't belong in the tapestry at all? What if she was only mending things that didn't need mending? The tree's roots quivered again, and Luna felt her heart stir. She had always believed that dreams were sacred, that every dream had a purpose. But now, in the presence of this ancient, wise force, she was beginning to understand that not all dreams were meant to be kept. Some were meant to be released, and some might be better forgotten. "You have learned much," the voice said, as if reading her thoughts. "But you must understand this. The Dreamcatcher you carry is not just for mending. It is for releasing too. The balance of dreams is fragile, Luna, and you are its keeper. But you cannot save every dream. Some dreams must be left to find their own way." The words echoed in her mind, and Luna felt a deep realization wash over her. It wasn't just about mending what was broken. It was about knowing when to let go, knowing when to allow dreams to drift into the wind, to dissolve into the night. She had carried the weight of so many dreams, each one a thread, each one a story. But she couldn't hold them all forever. Some needed space to fade. "Trust yourself," the voice whispered, "and trust the forest. The balance will guide you." Luna stood there for a long time, her wings folded, her heart full of the weight of the tree's words. The breeze stirred around her, soft and cool, as the stars above twinkled in quiet agreement. The clearing was still. The heart of the forest was waiting, watching, waiting for her to understand. And for the first time, Luna understood that her role wasn't just about mending or weaving dreams. It was about knowing when to let go, when to allow the stories to rest. With a final soft hum from her Dreamcatcher, Luna took a deep breath. The forest was vast, and there was so much more to learn. But she was ready. Ready to listen. Ready to let go. Ready to keep flying. And so, with one last glance at the ancient tree, she spread her wings and rose into the night sky, the heart of the forest now a part of her own. The wind carried Luna softly through the night as she left the heart of the forest behind. The ancient tree's words echoed in her thoughts. Some dreams need to be let go. She felt both a sense of liberation and an unfamiliar heaviness in her chest. For so long, she had believed that every dream, no matter how small, deserved to be mended, to be nurtured, to be held. But now, she understood the deeper truth, that not all dreams were meant to remain. Some were like seeds that had already grown and fallen away, their time in the world complete. Others, though, had yet to take root, and it was her duty to guide them. Her wings cut through the cool air, each beat rhythmic and steady as the stars twinkled overhead. The forest below was dark and quiet, a sea of shadows beneath her, but there was something new in the air. A shift, a stirring. She wasn't sure what it was, but she could feel it like a thread pulling her in a new direction. As she neared the edge of the forest, where the trees grew sparse and the landscape opened up into a meadow, Luna saw something unusual. A flicker of light. It was faint at first, barely visible, like a firefly's glow in the distance, but it was growing stronger. With cautious curiosity, Luna flew toward it, her wings carrying her closer, her mind swirling with questions. The meadow unfolded beneath her, bathed in silver moonlight, the tall grass swaying gently in the breeze. The light she had seen was now more distinct. A soft, glowing figure, like a star fallen to the earth. Luna landed silently, her talons brushing the grass as she stepped forward, her wings folding close to her sides. The figure in the meadow was unlike anything Luna had seen before. It was a creature made entirely of light, glowing softly with a warm, golden hue. Its shape was fluid, shifting like smoke, but the outline of a creature, a deer, perhaps, or a fox, could be discerned. Its eyes glimmered with a familiar kind of sadness, but also something else, a deep yearning as though it were waiting for something. Luna's heart fluttered. She had seen this kind of creature before, in the dreams of the creatures she had healed. But never like this. Never in the waking world. "Who are you?" Luna asked, her voice soft, tentative. The creature turned to her, its glowing form rippling like a wave of starlight. "I am a dream of the lost," it said, its voice both musical and distant, as if it were carried by the wind itself. "I have no home. I have no place to belong." Luna felt a chill run down her spine, the weight of the words settling deep within her. She stepped closer, careful not to startle the creature. "What do you mean?" she asked gently. "You belong here. You are a part of the forest." The creature flickered, its form shifting and wisping in and out of shape, its glowing light dimming and brightening. "I was a dream once," it said, its voice trembling. "But I was forgotten, left behind. No one remembers me, no one calls for me. And now I cannot find my way." Luna's heart tightened. She had seen forgotten dreams before, drifting in the currents of the wind, carried away by time. But this was different. This was a living dream, a creature made of light and longing, lost in the world, wandering without purpose. "Please," the creature whispered, its eyes filled with sorrow. "Help me. I want to belong. I want to find my place again." Luna stood still for a long moment, her wings folding tighter as she thought. She had mended so many dreams, guided so many hearts, but this was something else. This wasn't just a forgotten dream. This was a lost soul, a part of the world that had been cast aside, left adrift in a space between waking and sleeping. But she had learned so much in the past few nights. She had learned that some dreams needed to be let go, that some things were meant to rest. But this wasn't just any dream. It was a living, breathing part of the forest. A piece of the tapestry that had been torn away, forgotten, and left to wander. Luna's feathers ruffled as she stepped forward, her heart swelling with a quiet determination. "I will help you," she said, her voice strong and certain. "You do belong. And I will help you find your place again." The creature shimmered, its light flickering with hope. "You will." Luna nodded. "Yes. But first, we need to find out why you were forgotten. Why your dream faded." The creature's form shifted again, becoming more solid, its eyes filled with uncertainty. "I was a dream of a creature who once lived here, long ago. A fox, a young one, who wandered too far from her home. She dreamed of finding her way back, but her dream was lost in the forest. And I was the last of it. I was meant to guide her back. But she never came." Luna felt a pang of sorrow. She understood now. The creature was the last trace of a dream that had never been completed. A dream that had been abandoned, left unfinished in the world. "The fox's dream was never realized," Luna said softly. "But that doesn't mean you don't have a place. You can still find your way." The creature shimmered again, its form fading in and out like a star caught in a cloud. "But I am no longer needed. I am a forgotten dream. I have no place." "You're wrong," Luna said firmly. "You are needed. Every dream has a place. Even the lost ones." Luna thought for a moment, feeling the weight of the words she had spoken. She understood now that dreams didn't just disappear. They didn't simply vanish. They lingered in the world, waiting to be found, waiting to be understood. Every dream, no matter how forgotten, had a purpose. Even if that purpose wasn't clear, even if the story wasn't finished. "Come with me," Luna said, her voice gentle but full of resolve. "I will help you find your place. Together, we will remember you." The creature's light flickered brighter, its form solidifying once more. "You will." Luna nodded. "Yes. We will carry your story. We will weave it back into the fabric of the forest. We will give you a home again." And so, together, Luna and the dream of the lost began their journey through the night. The forest, once silent, now seemed to hum with life, as if the very trees were listening, remembering. The Dreamcatcher glowed softly against Luna's chest, and for the first time, she felt as though she was truly part of something greater than herself. Not just a keeper of dreams, but a part of the ever-changing, ever-growing tapestry of the world. She had learned that dreams could be forgotten, but they could also be remembered. And in remembering, they found their place once more. The night felt heavier as Luna and the dream of the lost moved deeper into the forest. The glowing creature, once flickering and fragile, now hovered beside Luna, its form shimmering like a soft, golden light that seemed to pulse with each beat of the wings Luna had so carefully folded at her sides. There was a sense of urgency in the air now, a silent calling that seemed to whisper through the trees, as if the forest itself knew that something important was about to unfold. "Where do we go now?" the creature asked, its voice no longer filled with sadness, but with something else. Hope, maybe, or perhaps the faintest trace of anticipation. "I don't know where I belong. I've wandered for so long, and now I don't know what to do." Luna glanced at the glowing figure beside her, its light steady but still fragile, like a flickering flame in the breeze. She understood the creature's uncertainty, for she had once been lost too, lost in the vastness of the forest, unsure of her purpose. But she had found her way, and she would help this dream do the same. "We'll start by going to the places where dreams first begin," Luna said softly, her voice steady despite the uncertainty swirling inside her. "The places where dreams are born and where they return when they need to rest." The dream of the lost nodded, its form glowing brighter. "You mean the heart of the forest?" it asked, its voice soft with recognition. Luna gave a gentle smile, her wings rustling as she rose higher into the sky, the stars above her twinkling like 1,000 tiny eyes. "Yes, but it's more than just that. Dreams are not confined to one place. They flow like the river, winding through the forest, touching everything along the way. We have to follow the path they've made." With a quiet hum, Luna spread her wings wide, lifting herself higher, the dream of the lost trailing beside her. They glided over the meadow, the long grasses swaying beneath them, and continued deeper into the woods. As they flew, Luna noticed the familiar shapes of trees and plants below, but tonight, something felt different. There was a subtle shift in the air, a ripple in the flow of dreams that felt like a disturbance. It was almost as though the fabric of the forest itself was quivering, as if it too was waiting for something. The wind whispered softly, curling around Luna's wings, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and the faintest trace of something sweet. It was a familiar smell, one that brought her comfort, but tonight it felt tinged with something darker, something hidden. The dream of the lost seemed to sense it too, its glow flickering for a moment before stabilizing once more. "What is that?" it asked, its voice barely audible. "What's happening?" Luna paused mid-flight, her sharp eyes scanning the forest below. The trees were swaying, their branches trembling in a way that didn't feel natural. The river, usually a calm and steady presence, was rushing with an unnatural force, its waters churning and frothing as if something deep within the earth had been disturbed. There was a darkness creeping into the edges of the forest, a shadow that seemed to stretch and grow. Luna's heart quickened as she felt the pulse of the forest's energy shift, and the Dreamcatcher against her chest thrummed with a faint, uneasy hum. Something was wrong. This wasn't just the ebb and flow of dreams. This felt like something else. Something deeper. Something dangerous. "We have to go," Luna said urgently, her wings beating faster. "There's something in the forest that shouldn't be here. Something is disrupting the balance. The dream of the lost flickered nervously, its form flickering and growing faint, its glow dimming with each passing second. "What do we do?" it asked, its voice full of anxiety. "We find the source," Luna replied, her voice sharp with determination. "And we restore the balance." Together, they dove into the forest, weaving through the trees as they moved toward the center of the disturbance. The closer they got, the more intense the sensation became. Luna could feel the very air crackling, the trees groaning under an unseen weight. There was something in the shadows, something ancient and dark, twisting through the fabric of the forest like a storm cloud. And Luna knew this was not a dream. As they flew deeper, the trees began to thin, and the ground below turned from soft earth to jagged stone. The forest was giving way to a place that Luna had never seen before, a hollow, cavernous space where the light seemed to vanish entirely. There was no sound here, only silence. And in that silence, Luna felt the full force of the disturbance. At the very center of the hollow, a dark, swirling mass hovered, its shape constantly shifting, as though it were made of shadow and smoke. It pulsed with a sickly green light, casting eerie shadows across the walls of the cavern. The Dreamcatcher around Luna's neck hummed louder now, its vibrations matching the dark pulse of the mass. "What is that?" the Dream of the Lost asked, its form trembling beside Luna, its glow barely visible in the oppressive darkness. "That," Luna said, her voice tight, "is the source of the disturbance. It's a nightmare, but not just any nightmare. It's a lost nightmare, one that should have faded long ago but was trapped here, suspended in the shadows." Luna felt a deep, primal fear stir within her. A nightmare of this magnitude could disrupt the entire forest, destroying the balance she had worked so hard to protect. The nightmare had been forgotten, left alone to fester and grow, and now it was threatening to consume everything in its path. "I don't understand," the Dream of the Lost whispered, its form flickering with uncertainty. "How do we stop it?" Luna took a deep breath, her heart steadying as the Dreamcatcher against her chest began to glow with a soft, silver light. She understood now what she had to do. The Dreamcatcher wasn't just a tool for mending or releasing, it was a tool for healing, for restoring balance. And this nightmare needed to be faced, not destroyed. It needed to be understood, released, and returned to the cycle of dreams. "We don't destroy it," Luna said firmly. "We help it. We show it the light it's been missing, and we return it to the world where it belongs." With that, Luna spread her wings wide, her feathers gleaming in the dim light. The Dreamcatcher glowed brighter, and she lifted it high, the shimmering strands of it swirling in the air like threads of pure light. The nightmare pulsed once more, its dark mass writhing, but Luna stood firm. "It's time to let go," she said, her voice calm and strong. "It's time for you to return to the cycle. To rest." The nightmare let out a low, haunting moan, as if resisting her words. But Luna did not falter. She focused on the Dreamcatcher, her heart reaching out to the darkness in the center of the cavern. She didn't fight it. She welcomed it. She let the light of the Dreamcatcher surround the nightmare, not as a weapon, but as a guide, as a bridge between the waking world and the world of dreams. Slowly, the nightmare began to fade, its dark shape dissipating like mist in the morning sun. The shadows lifted, the cavern's oppressive silence broken by the soft rustling of the trees outside, as the forest began to breathe again. The nightmare was no longer trapped. It was free, flowing once more into the currents of dreams, where it could find its place. Luna soared through the sky, the cool night wind rushing past her as she carried the weight of her journey with newfound strength. Below, the forest spread out in every direction, its trees now calm and peaceful after the storm of the lost nightmare had passed. The moon hung high above, casting its silver glow over the landscape, and the stars twinkled like 1,000 watchful eyes. The world felt alive, vibrant, and whole again. But Luna knew that balance was not something that could be taken for granted. It was a constant ebb and flow, like the tides of the river, and her role as a dreamkeeper would never be finished. There would always be dreams to mend, hearts to heal, and lost souls to guide. The forest had its cycles, just as the creatures within it had theirs. And Luna, would be there, watching over them, helping them find their way. Her wings beat in a steady rhythm, each stroke a reminder of the path she had chosen, the path that had brought her to this point. She had learned so much along the way, the power of letting go, the strength in understanding the balance between dreams and rest, and the wisdom in knowing when to release what no longer belonged. But the most important lesson had come from her own journey, from her own growth. Luna had discovered that being a keeper of dreams was not about controlling them or forcing them into shape. It was about understanding them, respecting them, and knowing that each dream, whether bright or dark, had a purpose in the grand tapestry of the world. And so, Luna flew on, her heart light and steady, her dreamcatcher glowing softly against her chest. She passed over the familiar landmarks of the forest, riverbeds, meadows, and valleys, but tonight, they all seemed different, more connected. She was no longer just a traveler passing through. She was a part of this place, a part of its rhythm, its heartbeat. She could feel the pulse of the forest beneath her wings, the gentle thrum of dreams flowing through the air, and she knew she had found her place. This was where she belonged. Eventually, Luna descended toward a familiar clearing, the one where she had first encountered the dream of the lost. The heart of the forest was just ahead, its trees standing tall and still, the ground soft beneath her feet. She landed gracefully, her talons brushing the earth as she folded her wings. The air here was calm, and the energy felt peaceful, like the forest itself was resting after its trials. She took a deep breath, feeling the cool night air fill her lungs. Everything felt right. And then she heard it, soft footsteps, faint at first, but growing louder as they approached. Luna turned, and there, emerging from the shadows of the trees, stood the dream of the lost. Its light was steady now, no longer flickering or uncertain. It was a brilliant, radiant glow, warm and welcoming, its form no longer trembling. "You found your place," Luna said softly, smiling as she stepped toward the glowing creature. The dream of the lost nodded, its form rippling with a quiet joy. "I have," it said. "I was lost, but now I am found. I know where I belong." Luna felt a deep warmth in her chest as she watched the creature before her. It had come so far, from a flickering, uncertain wisp of a dream to a full and steady presence. It was no longer lost. It had found its place in the world, just as Luna had found hers. "And you will help others," Luna said gently. "You will guide those who are lost, just as I have guided you." The dream of the lost's light brightened even more. "I will," it said, its voice filled with a quiet resolve. "I will help them as you helped me." Luna felt a sense of peace settle over her, and for the first time, she realized that her work was never truly finished. The cycle of dreams would continue, just as the cycles of the seasons turned and changed. But there was something profoundly beautiful in that. Even when dreams seemed lost, even when the night felt dark and the shadows long, there was always a way back. There was always a path forward. The dreamcatcher at Luna's chest hummed softly, its threads shimmering in the moonlight. Luna placed her hand over it, feeling the steady pulse of the dreams it had caught, protected, and released. She was no longer just a guardian of dreams. She was part of the dream itself, woven into the fabric of the world she had helped to heal. "Thank you," the dream of the lost said, its light softening in gratitude. "I will remember what you've shown me." Luna smiled, a quiet pride swelling in her heart. "And I will remember you," she said, "for we are all part of this great, endless cycle." The creature shimmered with a final, radiant glow before it slowly began to fade, drifting back into the forest where it belonged. Luna watched it go, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. She had done what she had set out to do. She had restored balance. She had helped a lost dream find its way. And now, she was ready for whatever came next. Luna spread her wings once more, her heart calm and full of purpose. The sky above was clear, and the stars shone brightly, guiding her forward. She rose into the air, the wind beneath her wings carrying her toward the unknown, but she no longer feared the unknown. She knew now that every dream, whether found or lost, bright or dark, had its place in the great cycle of the world. And as she flew, The forest below seemed to breathe with her, its heartbeat in rhythm with her own. The dreams of the creatures, of the forest, and of the world were hers to guide, to protect, and to release. And in doing so, she had found her true purpose. Luna, the dream keeper, would watch over the forest for as long as the stars shone in the sky. She would guide the dreams, help the lost, and restore the balance. For she had learned that dreams, like the forest, could never be fully understood or contained. They were wild, free, and always changing, and that was their true beauty. And so, with a final glance at the peaceful forest below, Luna soared higher, her wings carrying her into the night, where every dream waited for her to tend to it, one by one.